Hello and welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we are talking about Winter Storm Hudson bringing snow and ice to the northern plains, including major cities such as Minneapolis. This storm is moving on from the west into the northern plains, and we have a significant snow threat, which we've been seeing those snow total numbers start to prop themselves up over the past 24 hours, as well as a very significant icing event in some areas of Nebraska, Iowa, even into the Great Lakes region. So this system could turn into a snowstorm for parts of the plains and upper Midwest to begin the first full week of 2023, and this storm has been named Winter Storm Hudson by the Weather Channel. So here is the additional snow and rain from the Weather Channel, and we're going to be looking at this little area up here to the top right part of your screen. You can see that Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota could be seeing at least a foot of snow, if not more, and other areas could be seeing at least a half a foot of snow, including some areas of Wisconsin, maybe some areas of South Dakota, Wyoming, those areas. Just the plains in general is going to be getting hammered with this storm. So here is our forecast for Monday, which is today. You can see it, this storm starts to roll into Nebraska, South Dakota, but Tuesday is really when the storm starts to pick up, especially into the regions such as the Minneapolis metropolitan area. The ice threat picks up in Iowa as well. Then, of course, this storm will move towards the east later this week. Now, we also have a severe threat with this system. I'm planning on making a separate video for that, so stay tuned here for more of that. So here is our NWS hazards, and let's go through all of them. I have a cutoff here with the mountain states, so everything east of the mountain states. Starting off with the winter storm warnings in Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Winter weather advisories in Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin, and an ice storm warning in place for portions of Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota. So here is the Weather Prediction Center's Winter Storm Severity Index. So again, same cutoff line. We're going to start with our limited impacts. Those are areas where could be seeing some wintry weather, but not much to really make a difference. You could go through with your normal day with a lot of ease. Then in this yellow color, we have our minor impacts. This is where areas could be getting a little slick. The roads, might not be in perfect shape, but, if you reduce your speed a little bit, should be good enough. Now, moderate and major in this orange and red is really when you start to take a lot of, restraint to your day. Things could get a little messy, especially in some of these areas of Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, where that ice storm warning is in place. Ice is very difficult in general because you have so many different factors, right? You have the ice accretion on tree limbs and power lines leading to power outages across the board. You have ice accumulating on the roads, and any untreated roads, you could be getting some very slippery surfaces, even with the slightest little glaze of ice. It does not have to be that much to cause sliding and slipping of cars, any vehicles across roads, and that could lead to major pileups. Now, where most of this major outline is here is where that snow is going to be. And in these areas, you could be seeing snowfall rates of an inch an hour and really reducing those visibilities. And we do have some major interstates in this area as well. You have I-94 up there in Minnesota that could be impacted, as well as I-90 moving through South Dakota, portions of I-80 moving through Nebraska that could be really heavily impacted by this. And those are the areas where you could see pileups start. So definitely look out for that. And if you're in this orange or red area, really kind of take your time if you're traveling. I would recommend not traveling at all. But if you have to, please stay safe. Take your time, give yourself extra time if possible. So in these areas also, let the crews do their thing. I know a lot of people, They see the crews out there. They're always complaining, why isn't this going faster? It takes a lot of time, especially with that ice threat. So just be patient a little bit in this area, and it'll help out a lot. So here is the NAM 12-kilometer model, and we can see our storm system starting to poke out into South Dakota and Nebraska. And as this storm system moves into the region later on, so this is right around 6 p.m. Central Time, you can see areas of northeast Nebraska and western Iowa, including Sioux City, could be seeing that significant icing threat. And this is when, 6 p.m., you're really starting to get into the thick of rush hour. That is when things could get really bad on those roads. So really be careful out there if you are going to be on the roads. You also have your heavy snowfall in western Nebraska. Areas around North Platte could be seeing some heavier snowfall rates, and that's where I-80 kind of comes into play there with some reduced visibilities. So let's go over here to, this is midnight Central Time, moving into your Tuesday morning, and you can see here that icing threat continuing from Wisconsin all the way back into Nebraska. Now, we don't have that heavy icing, but just a little bit of light ice could still make major impacts. We also have some moderate to heavy snowfall in the southern half of South Dakota, including, Sioux Falls, including Pierre, even back into Rapid City, could be seeing some moderate to heavy snowfall. And we also have the same area, western Nebraska, North Platte area, could be still seeing some of those increased snowfall rates. Now we are going into 6 a.m., and you can kind of see the same area here, but areas such as Sioux Falls, Sioux City could still be seeing that icing threat, whereas you have that southern half of South Dakota, northern half of North Dakota, or Nebraska, could be seeing that heavier snowfall threat. Now you have this storm starting to move into Minnesota here, starting off in Minneapolis with some ice, but eventually will be switching over to some snowfall, and eventually this band kind of just sets up right over the Minneapolis area, and that is where you're going to be seeing, light to moderate snow for a while, but those snow totals do add up. And eventually this storm even moves into the northeast, bringing some snowfall to Maine, North Dakota, or no, New Hampshire, I don't know where I'm getting North Dakota from, Vermont, New York, and eventually this storm could just linger just enough, and we could have the possibility of some snow in the I-95 corridor, but we'll talk about that later this week if it does happen. So let's kind of take a look here quickly at the NAM's rendition of the snowfall totals. You can see Minneapolis maybe in that 4 to 6 inch range. Let's see here, Sioux Falls could be in that 10 to 12 inch range. Pierre could be right around that 3 to 6 inch range. Rapid City could be in that 3 to 6 inch range as well. North Platte could definitely get close to a foot. I'm thinking they could get close to a foot. But I think that the major threat here is going to be that icing threat. Now, this is blown out of proportion. Obviously, nowhere is going to be getting an inch and a half or inch and a quarter of ice. But this really shows us our hot spots. So, northeast Nebraska, western Iowa, including Sioux City, maybe even up towards Minneapolis, down into western Kansas. Let's see here, maybe near Goodland, Kansas, could be seeing some icing there as well, and into the northeast as well, we could be seeing some ice. So here is the Weather Prediction Center's 72-hour snowfall accumulation, and we're going to go over this. So everywhere in green, that is less than a half a foot. In this very pale green here, that's 1 to 2 inches. This medium green, that is 2 to 4 inches. This dark green is 4 to 6. This dark blue is 6 to 8 inches. That includes Minneapolis. You can see that. It also, just to the north and west of Sioux City, Norfolk. North Platte is actually technically in that 8 to 10 inch range in this medium-ish blue. You also have Sioux Falls right on that line there with the 10 to 12 inch range as well. Then in this like pale blue color here, that is 12 to 15 inches, and this purple is 15 to 18 inches. So that is a very healthy amount of snowfall for this region, especially for this time of the year. And our icing. So in this pale green, that is 1/100 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch. That includes areas such as Waterloo, just to the northwest of Omaha and Lincoln, Grand Island, Kearney, moving up towards Minneapolis, St. Paul, but just to the southeast, Eau Claire, La Crosse. Then you have this medium green, that is 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. That includes Rochester, Albert Lee, we have Austin, Mason City, Sioux City, Norfolk. You have a lot of these areas that could be seeing, maybe even closer to that 1/4 of an inch mark, especially around Sioux City, where we have that hot spot based on our NAM prediction here. So definitely got to watch out for that in these areas. But overall, this storm is going to pack a major punch for your first full week of 2023. But that is all the information that I have for today. Again, stay safe out there, especially if you're in this area that could be seeing some icing. Ice is very dangerous, and it could fly under the radar a little bit, so please stay safe, be careful. But same thing here with the increased snowfall rates in South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota. Just overall, stay safe, be patient, take your time, slow down. Overall, just stay safe. But that is all the information that I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.